Okay, so we're still doing the awareness video regarding the clouds and the atmosphere. Just have to go and get this particular tool because this will also help to articulate it for you. So I'm showing you this to, of course, show you how still it is. It is so still, in fact, you barely hear any rustling even of the dead leaves. Right. Now it will do what it does, which is it's going to pick up.
My other friends will know. One of my students, actually there's 2 students that live there.
But you can clearly see that we have quite a dead day. And you saw the windmill itself. As I was walking up, it is dead. Pretty much everything is low energy, but I don't expect that's going to last very long. Maybe right here. Round up. It's kind of good look every once in a while. Has got it to where you can see the tree back there. Okay, so like I said, you saw as I was coming up that particular path. I'm going to go ahead and make this so I can swivel this around so you can see once up here. Okay, there we go. So this, we got kind of a ground view. We're just going to go all the way around. So you already saw how this all started, so I shouldn't have to explain too much of that.
Now, let's go ahead and first, before I even go any further with this, because what I'm going to show you is how to bring in energy from the clouds themselves. So first we have to have a look at the clouds, which are being made for us in crisscrosses and X's. Take a look at this. And that's all through there. So anyway, take a look back there. You can actually see how the energy is streaking the clouds west. Now look through here. As I was stating before, go up in here, you can see all these little bubbles. And the bubbles lead to streaks. Now let's go all the way back here. Take a look at how this is operating. Again, look at the bubbles. So with all of this, we've got these streaks coming through. You see these wisps coming up. Okay, you might even be able to feel as I'm doing these little wisps, the camera is being hit with more and more energy or more and more wind. I'm literally reaching into these little cloud bubbles. The bubbles themselves are being created because there's tons of little vortexes of energy going through there and literally going through and hitting these crisscrosses. Take a look. You can see that they're tight bubbles that are going right through in grid formation. Now that's a whole different topic right there, but I'm going to show you how to use these to your advantage. When you have these big long streaks like here, that means that the energy is moving in these directions and it's moving quite fast. Here's directly above us. You even see kind of a ribbed structure. And then we'll go back here again and you see all these streaks that are going across the sky like this. Well, that's because the wind is actually moving quite fast up there. So all you have to do is click and drag that wind. And again, you see these little bubbles, these vortexes? Vortexes are causing the bubbles and everything to go together. So that means that the wind up there is actually moving pretty fast in those circles. And then they meet areas where the wind just starts to streak forward and go really fast, and then it pulls all that energy, just as you see it doing, and it goes straight down and out. So let's work with, I'm going to put this right here, right where it was. All right. I'm reaching right in right now to the streaks. Now as I'm doing that, all I'm doing is literally clicking and dragging that from that location up there right down to this location here to me. And so this, I'm not generating my own energy here. I am just grabbing from what my surroundings have at this point. Now, I want to show you this other thing going on. Look carefully into everything that you see there. We have a massive amount of energy that's flooding up through this way. As it is hitting all these little bubble spots and vortexing, which means it's spinning faster and faster, and then again being routed and streaked. So what we have here is someone is streaking an energy system from west to east. This is actually unnatural, but you can actually tap into it and use it and convert the energy at will. Remember that. You can convert all this to positive energy. We human beings are quite excellent at things like that because we are technically nothing more than conduits. And as a conduit, you can flip the energy switch from negative to positive. So again, all these streaks. Now look, the energy's died here. See? Okay, so that's the type of energy we had coming up here, if you recall. And then, here we are again. Only takes a moment. So now I reach right back into those energy grids that are clearly up there for me to use because they're right there in front of me. So by reaching into the bubbled areas, those are vortexing. That's the type of energy that you can spin, and sometimes it'll come in rapidly, sometimes it'll just come in slow. But because it's vortexed, it's going to be, let's just say it will last longer than say just wind that is streaking straight forward. Okay? Vortexed wind is traveling in its natural motion that way. When wind just goes one direction without any twists or turns, then it's not really doing its natural thing, and that's what we see with a lot of these streaks that are coming through. And I'm glad we got this sort of a day, so we're going to go ahead and look again. I want you to see how this is progressing right in front of us. Look at these stripes, clear stripes. You see it's pretty much whitewashing over the sun. Now here's all those bubbles again. We take those things and use them to our advantage. Again, vortexing. With those vortexing, we bring down that energy. Here we have the bubbling again, right through here. Not quite as prevalent. But then we move over here, we see wisping beginning to occur. Okay, it's almost as if someone's doing paint strokes. That's because the energy is starting to move really fast in straight lines and streaks through that area. If you look carefully, you can see that this is all gridded. Just like this, it's literally being brought through. And then we have a massive system just vortexing all through back here. And it's technically, it looks like that's where the weather and the wind system would be coming from. Even as I get closer into this with the camera, the wind starts to go faster in the environment. Okay? And look how this is all being dragged up through here. So these are the types of things you want to look for in your environment, because it'll tell you how fast the wind is moving in the upper atmosphere, and it'll also let you know what you need to do to bring it down to your level into the lower atmosphere. So if you look at all that back there again, it is streaking. It's being brought from west to east. Okay. Now the reason why this was moving, forward motion towards it. Now I just did a video entirely based upon having absolute control over the amount of energy that you put in to the windmills. Okay? This can be accented by knowing and being able to read your cloud systems. And here in a second I'm going to show you this is starting to vortex even more. Look at that. You can really see the structure that I'm pulling the energy from. Now, I can barely see into that because, of course, it's the sun. But if you look at all of this, you can see where the vortexing is just, it's coming through really fast and hard and heavy now. So the energy that I am using right now, again, is coming directly off of the clouds. That's the reason why every time we turn around, when I'm not really messing with this, this thing is stopped. Okay, and now here we are. So I'm going to show you, and as I work particular things, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm using. Oops, my phone, crap. Careful with that. Oh dear. Stop it. Okay. So again, there really isn't a lot of energy down here on the ground level. As you saw when we came up, there wasn't any energy. I walked up here, no energy. And now, the only energy that we really have is when I'm grabbing directly from those clouds. Not trying to bring in copious amounts of energy, I'm showing you exact amounts of energy that I'm pulling from each and every single individual area. So we have now the area where I'm pulling from the stripes. So like I said, the wind now is moving in that direction. It's moving west, and now I'm pulling from the area where it's moving the fastest in terms of how it's striping all the way down the sky. So because it's already there, it's already easy to grab, I can just snatch it. Now the difference between the vortex energy, again, like I said before, the vortex energy will actually last longer. You may not get as much initial power, but it's going to last a lot longer because it's going in its natural formation. Now you'll get probably a lot more energy from the stripe. You see, I'm just going with that again. And so it seems to bring in a decent amount of energy just going with that flow. So there's so many different ways that you can actually use your environment as a means to grab energy. A lot of people think that they can only get what's right in front of them. That this is it right here. Not the case. A lot of people think they can only get the stuff from the trees. Not the case. Some people think that they have to get it from the ground, grounding energy and pulling up. Actually, most people ground the energy down so they don't ever get to use that energy in the first place. Actually, you have to pull from that energy from the ground and bring it up. Okay, that's how long and short wave radiation works. Okay, long wave comes from the cosmos, hits the ground, goes back up. Short wave comes from the ground and goes up. So you can actually grab energy like this, look. So you can actually bring it from the ground. But if you ground your energy, then what you're going to do is you're just going to send that to the ground. It's not going to do anything. That's what grounding does. It's basically a cancellation of a charge in order to make things safe. So if you're the type of person that's into grounding, the best way to go is live wire instead of grounding. Grounding only sends the energy in one direction, and then it's not useful to anyone except for the ground. Alright, let's have a look and see how this has evolved. Look behind us. Okay, now we're getting all of these really crazy wisp motions. That means the energy is not only streaking forward really fast, a lot of it is now going up and curling back through. So as I reach into that and grab that, look what's happening here. You can hear it going. So the minute I reach into this, like I said, it's streaking forward, so I can grab the stuff that's going forward, but it's also wisping and coming up and out. So I can take that circular motion and that vortex motion and then create right off of that. Now let's go ahead and take a look around. This is just in case anyone besides my students watch this. There is no one here but me working with this. The energy that is being generated is coming from the very stuff that I claim that it's being generated from, which is, in fact, the clouds or the atmosphere. Huh. Well, anyway. Because we have all of these wonderful examples. See, now we get all of this ribbed formation again. So you can see the energy is coming through, it's striping through this way. And then look how it all operates. Again, vortex sort of stuff that's causing these waves. And as long as you have all of that, you have a copious amount of energy to draw from. Let's look. Look at that. So the minute that I stopped working with it and pulling from it and just showing you, the energy field dropped. We already know that there's no one else out here except for me. You watch me walk up to it, okay? Then all I have to do is enact my own energy field again. And then now I'm reaching back up to the clouds, which of course is what's providing the energy that's coming through here. So this is a great lesson in how to use the atmosphere as a means to collect more energy so that you can, well, do whatever it is that you need to do. Whether it be play with this sort of stuff, you're trying to get aerokinesis going, whether you're healing someone. Okay, there's so many different ways that you can draw energy. You just have to know, and you have to have that connection activated. Sorry, little guy. Have that connection activated to where you can make it happen. So, anyhow, Michael Grubb, Evolve Ministry. This is just a preliminary lesson on learning how to use clouds as a means to kind of energize your environment. And I'm probably going to spend a couple more days maybe getting different versions of cloud structures and that sort of stuff, because there's so many different ways that you can pull from cloud energy. You just have to know how when the clouds form, like cirrus clouds or cumulus clouds, what kind of energy is coming from them, so you can maximize your potential with it. Eternal love.